In Pakistan's northwest, a narrow mountain valley has once again become the center of a familiar and dangerous argument. Is this a counter-terrorism operation or a political battle wrapped around one? Tira lies in Khyber district, close to the Afghanistan border. Rugged, narrow, and historically difficult to control. It has long been used by armed groups as a hideout, a transit zone, and a staging ground. What makes Tira different is not just its remoteness, but its geography. It is not a single valley, but a complex network of narrow valleys, mountain passes, and hidden routes carved into the Spin-Ghar range. This terrain allows fighters to blend into civilian movement with ease. Surveillance is difficult, control is fragmented, and most critically, Tira connects directly to the settled districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. If Tira is left open, the distance to Peshawar effectively collapses. For Pakistan's security planners, Tira is a strategic hinge. Whoever controls it influences movement toward the provincial capital and the surrounding belt. This is why Tira has repeatedly been the focus of military operations over the past 2 decades, and why it continues to draw attention whenever militancy resurfaces in the region. Locals and security officials say that Tira has not merely been used as a transit point by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, but as a place the group actively wanted to hold. In earlier phases of the conflict, senior TTP leadership operated from this area, using the valley as a protective base. From here, fighters could move outward, regroup, and disappear back into the mountains. Militant violence in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has surged again in recent years, and with it, concerns that Tira is once more being positioned as a sanctuary. Officials warn that the issue is no longer just the presence of fighters, but the control of space, the ability to hide, to tax, to recruit, and to move without friction. But Tira is not only about terrain, it is also about money. For years, an illicit economy has operated in parts of the valley. Cannabis cultivation and at times poppy crops have provided income in an area with limited legal livelihoods. Locals describe a system in which armed groups extracted commissions from farmers and traders, turning agriculture into revenue, revenue into influence, and influence into control. According to residents, narcotics trade in Tira was not random or informal. It was structured. Wholesale markets emerged during seasonal gatherings, distribution routes fed markets inside Pakistan and in some cases beyond the border. Militants, locals allege, took a fixed percentage, often cited as around 20%, from all these operations. This is what many describe as a war economy. Militancy sustained not just by ideology, but by cash flow. And this, analysts say, explains exactly why Tira matters so deeply to the TTP. Losing Tira means losing revenue, losing concealment and leverage. Holding it, however, means financial survival and operational depth. The security concern is pretty straightforward. Tira's narrow routes and mixed population make infiltration easy. Fighters can move without standing out. If militant presence is tolerated here, ingress toward Peshawar and nearby districts becomes significantly easier. Recent accounts from residents describe how armed men would enter homes, demand food, and use civilian settlements for cover, complicating any attempt at a clean military response. This brings the story to the present operation. The current phase includes a major civilian component, that is temporary evacuation. The stated purpose is to protect civilians from any kind of harm during military action. Elders, jirgas, and the administration agreed on these timelines. But those timelines slipped. Even after the agreed date passed, evacuation remained incomplete. The delay itself became controversial. Critics argue the slowdown was deliberate, that it gave militants time to hide, time to relocate, time to escape before any decisive action. They say the longer the delay, the greater the benefit to armed groups. At the same time, the provincial government announced a large financial package for displaced families. Officially, it was meant to provide immediate relief and monthly support. But opponents allege serious irregularities. They claim that while around 93,000 people were displaced, assistance lists expanded to include more than 125,000 names, including tens of thousands of those people who weren't even affected. According to these claims, upfront payments and monthly disbursements created room for manipulation, with billions of rupees potentially diverted away from genuine victims. The government denies wrongdoing, but critics insist the numbers do not reconcile. These delays and disputes have had consequences. Locals recount that months earlier, security forces presented three options: convince militants to leave populated areas, raise local lashkars to push them out, or temporarily vacate the area so an operation could proceed without any civilian casualties. A jirga was formed. Delegations were sent to militants, even invoking religious arbitration. However, they refused. Residents did not take up arms themselves. Evacuation was advised. According to locals, the optimal window for a military operation was between September and November, but evacuation did not take place then.
In Tira Valley, locals point to Peer Mela as more than a cultural gathering. They describe it as a seasonal hub where cannabis trade quietly converges, a place where bulk transactions take place under the cover of crowds and routine movement. From here, residents allege narcotics flow into two directions, into Pakistan's urban markets and across the border toward Afghanistan. The location, the timing, and the terrain make monitoring difficult, turning Peer Mela into a critical node of the illicit supply chain.
They allege one reason was the timing of cannabis and poppy harvests, and that evacuation only accelerated after illicit economic interests had been secured. By the time evacuation began in earnest, winter had set in, a season that traditionally favors guerrilla fighters and complicates military movement. What was meant to be a short displacement of weeks now risks extending into months.
My name is Asghar. I am from Tira. My car was stuck the entire night. Pakistan Army came and took my car out from the snow. Thank you to Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army saved almost 200 people last night.
In Tira, more than half the population migrates seasonally even in normal years, often maintaining secondary homes in Bara. But this time, displacement is tied to conflict, uncertainty, and contested governance. What is visible on the surface, long lines of families leaving their homes, does not fully explain what lies beneath. Tira today is not just a valley under operation. It is a convergence point of militancy, money, politics, and delay. For the state, control of Tira is about dismantling sanctuaries and breaking the war economy. For militants, it is about survival. And for civilians caught between both, the question is simpler. When will safety return, and who will answer for the time that was lost? I'm Dayan Rahmani, and you're watching Policy Wire.